Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Anderson and Garland auctioneers based in the UK, we're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is the music auction. This is finishing on the 26th of June. It's the 22nd today, so a few days left to go, and I shall put a link in the video description. So quite a lot of musical instruments in this auction. The auction itself is huge, has 564 lots, but in terms of musical instruments, I think about 200 or so, which is still quite a lot. Buyer's premium on this auction is 30%. That's actually quite high. It's one of the highest in the UK, so do bear that in mind. So whatever the final hammer price is, you need to add at least 30% onto that. This is a UK based auction, so if you're looking for something to ship out of the UK, then bear in mind import-export fees. Also potentially CITES restrictions for ivory, Brazilian rosewood, tortoiseshell, etc, etc. If you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, because it really does help. So without further ado, let's just kind of go over this auction and see if there's anything interesting. So first of all, let's have a look at the first lot. A Hohner Merino 120 bass accordion, estimate 1000 to 1800. Okay, so it's a MIDI accordion here, so that's quite an interesting one. I have no idea of the value of these things at all, so if anyone has an idea, please let me know. I can't say I've seen too many MIDI accordions before, so that's interesting. We've got some more traditional accordions here. Once again, I really do not know a great deal about accordions, but there looks to be some fairly nice ones here, at least some nice colours. Stradella chromatic button accordion there. I'm sure there is still a market for these things. There's a case there as well, but potentially not as strong a market as there is for these concertinas, as we know. Always very popular. There's a Lacanal McCann patent 62 key there, 800 to 1200 the estimate, and I'm almost certain that will sell. Another Anglo system one here, a bit of a lower estimate. Same with this 28 button Lacanal and a Hohner. These ones probably the least popular, these kind of German or other European ones, but the other main brands seem to do pretty well. We've got a few flutes here, nothing too crazy I don't think, and a couple of clarinets as well, so that's kind of curious. Boozy and Hawkes clarinet case there, let's have a look and see, 300 to 400 on that. All fairly standard kind of auction stuff that we see. A GIBSON B-flat clarinet there, jazz branded flute, Ruddle and Cart piccolo there, and a couple of Buffet and Crampon clarinets there, 500 to 700. There's some odd birds in the background somewhere, screeching, so if you hear some kind of high-pitched bird screeches, there's some animals are having an argument somewhere there, so that's always interesting. So there we go, in Blackwood here with silver keys. Something was withdrawn. A good set of Northumbrian pipes by Colin Ross, 500 to 700 there. Nice to see some of that. And a set of Northumbrian small pipes by Dave McQuaid there, 300 to 500. We've got silver plated trumpet there, Carroll brass C trumpet. I think these are all fairly new. A Myers and Harrison cavalry trumpet and Premier field trumpet. Boucher true tone trumpet there. Besson Brevet, Boozy and Hawkes, Selma series 3s are into the high end tenor saxophone there, 3 to 4. Always popular, these Selma saxophones. Yamaha there, Erlen Professional. Paul Cavour baritone saxophone there, 800 to 1000. A French horn, not a lot of information there, but there you go, 30 to 50. Right, we're on to some bowed stringed instruments here. Chinese viola there, stumped a Zeller. Okay, interesting. Fairly kind of standard stuff. Maybe you can get yourself a bargain thing. German Steiner violin, silver mounted bow, so that looks fairly standard in terms of the oh, we've lost the image there, in terms of the actual instrument. Kind of curious looking bow there, so it might be interesting to someone. Right, violin by Perry and Wilkinson, number 2495, with original receipt 3-4. Now, depending on the condition, I just think this is just too high, really. Although it does look in fairly nice condition, but for a Perry and Wilkinson, 3-4, I think is almost bordering on a retail price. A couple of bows there, but they don't look too crazy. If this was a Thomas Perry violin, then I think that price would be absolutely fine, but this does seem a bit expensive. Violin was formerly the property of Stan Smith, who started his career with the Yorkshire Symphony Orchestra and was disbanded in the 1950s, having served in the RAF and studying at Trinity College London. He then dedicated the next 40 years as principal first violin with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. Stan can be heard on BBC Sounds recounting his time with the YSO. Okay, interesting, but still I think estimate is too high. French violin bow stamped Leon Bernardel here. It's another one. This is a former Stan Smith, so they pulled out the kind of decent bow there, 1,500 to 2,500 on that. Right, a mid-18th century German violin here. Let's have a look at the pictures. Certainly had a bit of work done to it and needs probably a bit more work. It's had a bit of a hard life. Couple of bows there as well. Looks like a fairly interesting bow, actually, at least one of them. That's quite an interesting bow. Yeah, violin also looks quite nice, needs a bit of work, but could be an interesting buy for someone. 1 to 2, I think it's probably not unreasonable estimate there. A couple of cases there. German violin after Testore. Okay, 2 to 400. Let's look at this. It just looks like a fairly standard instrument, just with a Testore label, so I can see so far. But let's see. See, it looks fairly nice from the front. One of those ones I think is probably worth looking at in person because it's a bit difficult to tell. Right, an American viola by Donald D. Roy, Coram, Maine, 2020, numbered 40. Let's have a look at this, 6 to 800 on that. Fairly wide body. Well, it looks like it's been well used. Quite a nice back on that. I think it's quite a nice looking instrument there, so quite a reasonable, if not quite low estimate there, so that's definitely an interesting one. Another case here. So, right, a violin by David F. Rubio, Cambridge, 1991. It's quite interesting, 35.2 length of back, 6 to 800, which I think is a very reasonable estimate. So if this is indeed a Rubio, so David Rubio, quite a well-known guy across musical instruments, one of these people that made everything, keyboards, lutes, violins, etc., and just quite well-respected researcher. Also did a lot of work in varnishes, historical varnishes. So yeah, it looks in good condition. If that is correct, I think that is an interesting instrument for sure. German Stradivari copy here. This looks like your standard kind of violin and a pretty nasty bow. 80 to 120, that seems completely fair. Violin labelled Neuner and Hornsteiner with a bow stamped cipher, 4 to 600. This violin looks like it's had a bit of work done to its to the back, which is unfortunate. These can be quite nice violins, but this looks a bit unsightly, this back rejoin there. low estimate might be okay. Couple of German trade violins, difficult to see what's going on there. Couple of bows there as well, 50 to 100, that's fair. Violin labelled Carlo Bergonzi. Let's have a look at this. I think this looks to me to be fairly kind of standard trade violin, but could be wrong. Also worth looking at in person. Repair label for Harry Dean, London, 1898. See what else we've got here. A Chinese violin. Okay, let's have a look. In a kind of Guarneri style. Actually looks fairly nice. Quite well made. Some really decent instruments coming out of China. 2 to 300. Seems fair estimate. A violin inscribed James Gray, 1883. 4 to 600. It's got a fairly interesting looking violin there. Quite cool scroll. Interesting backs. Had a bit of a repair there on the button. Yeah, kind of interesting looking. Silver mounted violin bow stamped Bausch, so it's a fairly standard German bow there. 200 to 300 estimate. Gold mounted viola bow stamped Garner Wilson. Let's have a look at that. Interesting kind of eye there. I know that Garner Wilson did, I think, some of the frogs with almost like Olympic style rings. I don't recognise this one as such, so I can't really comment if it's correct or not, but 800 to 1200 looks kind of interesting. Right, a violin by Lionel Gliori, 2009. Okay, 5 to 700. Have a look at that. Looks kind of a bit washed out, the varnish. Lionel Gliori. Interesting. Well, not Pent Caitland. Okay, interesting. Where is Pent Caitland? I think I might have to do a video pause to figure out where that is. Right, so video pause over. Pent Caitland is a village in Scotland, so there we go. Interesting. Silver mounted violin bow stamped G. Byrom. 100 to 150 there. A Guarneri style violin there, 250 to 350, I think. It's got some marks in it there. Inscribed in ink, facsimile Guarnerius. It's probably a fairly standard type thing. A continental violin labelled Colin Mazar for restoration. Definitely needs a bit of work. Looks like it's been stored somewhere in a loft or a basement, so could be of interest to someone. Primavera, that's just a standard modern thing. Eastman, same. Stenta Elysia, this is probably all kind of made in China. Mittenwald Amati style violin, let's have a look. It's had a few repairs there. Another one that you'd want to look at in person, but it has had quite a few repairs there. Czechoslovakian Stradivari violin and other violins and bows. This all looks fairly standard. 10 assorted bows. There might be some interesting bows in there somewhere for someone interested in that kind of stuff. 19th century Maggini style violin. See, oh, just one picture on that. Okay. Beer half-size viola. I think this is kind of beers with Tertis, kind of promoting viola for younger people, I'm pretty sure. Viola by Alfred Neudorfer. 800 to 1200 on that. Yeah, looks like quite a nice instrument there. Seems like a reasonable estimate. Romanian cello, a Joseph Hall cello, 19th century English cello made by Joseph Hall Morpeth. Okay, 600 to 800. Looks like an interesting cello there. A couple of bows as well, which look like they could be quite nice. So I think this is an interesting lot. Yeah, it's quite a nice cello. Interesting arching and F-hole position. So yeah, that so far probably seems like one of the more interesting lots. Stentor bass there. Now we're into plucked stuff. Long neck G banjo by John Gray, London. Deering Gold Time tenor banjo. I think these are quite nice, quite popular. Always lots of banjos at auction. Ashbury 5-string G banjo. Windsor zither banjo. Another banjo. Napoli mandolin by Guido Vicentini. It's fairly standard. Paul Hathaway mandola. Just there's a few more pictures on that. Could be quite a good buy for someone. Fender mandolin here. It's interesting. Not really sure what the value of Fender mandolins are really. Manufactured in Korea, but probably not that much. Ashbury mandolin there. Hokkaido classical guitar. Right, this is, I think they were talking about on their main thing. 1898 Martin 028 guitar, 1930s case there. 5 to 8,000, just looking pretty nice condition. Not sure about the market value for these, but it's yeah, it's a nice instrument. Looks like a few interesting bits going on there, but yeah, definitely a nice looking instrument. So I'm sure that'll probably do quite well. Just don't know what the current values are of those things. Taylor anniversary guitar there, 1,500 to 2,000. So I think we're going to be into the sea of guitars now. It's amazing how many guitars are out there. Actually, the amount of guitar auctions every single day. There's guitar auctions really. Another Taylor there. Rare 2001 CF Martin Concept J limited edition guitar. Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of these before actually. Pretty interesting kind of oil finish things. A bit of a acquired taste, I think. 1,200 to 1,800 on that. Epiphone Everly Brothers. Lag guitars, I think that's the kind of French brand. EKO 12-string Eros. Another Martin here. So quite a lot of Martins. 1979 D28. I'd expect this to do pretty well. Only one image, that's a bit odd. 1979, 1,200 to 1,800. Couple of ovations here. So on to the second page. The other pages are other kind of music and things that we won't look at. Hohner Classical, Ozark, Tanglewood, Westfield, Della Arte, Robin Nolan model guitar. Okay, gypsy jazz guitar. Interesting. Looks quite nice actually. Not aware of this particular brand to be honest, but 200 to 300 doesn't seem too unreasonable. Levin Dreadnought guitar there, the Swedish make. They're pretty decent. So that could be quite a nice guitar. Underwood lap steel guitar, like Weisenborn type thing. Tanglewood, Gretsch Alligator. Right, we've got an ES335 from Gibson, 2005 model, 2 to 2.5 there. These are always popular. Not the most exciting model, but interesting. 1973 Fender Telecaster 2-3. So yeah, we're seeing quite a lot of nice guitars actually in all the auctions really. Even smaller auctions having a load of kind of early things. This does look quite a nice Fender there. Fender Stratocaster signed by Jet Harris and Bruce Welch. 4-600 there. Let's see what else we got here. Prestige Heritage Premier LP Custom Style Guitar. Just one of these kind of generic Chinese or Korean brands, I presume. Eastman. Gibson Mark II, interesting. Mark III even, sorry. These you don't see very often. Probably for good reason. 6-800. Floyd Rose, yeah, interesting. 1991. That could be popular for some people, I'm sure. Nice Hofner Committee jazz guitar, really nice here. 4-600. That's a nice looking jazz guitar there. Yeah, beautiful back. I really like these. Really good. Hofner very thin with Bigsby. Yeah, nice. This is quite a nice one actually. That's in really good condition. Yeah, nice. 1960s, 250-350. Yeah, that's really seems like quite a good price. Rickenbacker style guitar there. Cholana Tornado there. Vintage Hofner lap steel. Hofner Colorama even. 50-70. That's super low. These are cool little things, I think. Only one picture on that. See what else we got here. Limited edition Epiphone Lemon Drop Shaftesbury Yamaha SG600. They can be pretty good. Custom handmade jazz guitar by Mark Lamack for Robson Guitars, 2,800 to 3.5. Interesting, yeah. Fold design. That's very Art Deco, isn't it? Very Art Deco inspired. Let's read the information here. Handmade Deco Robson tuners there. Yeah, interesting. Right, 1964 Fender Strat there. 4.5 to 6,000. Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy what's going on guitar-wise at the moment. It's really quite bonkers. We're into the big times of selling guitars. Every auction just absolutely jammed packed full of vintage guitars. 1972 Fender Telecaster. 1993 Fender Strat. Alhambra Electro Acoustic there. Hohner. BC Rich. Diamond. Epiphone Casino. Ibanez. Gibson SG Special. Fender USA Standard. So pretty good. 2023 Gibson Les Paul 60 Standard Faded Cherry. 1,500 to 2,000 on that. Nice Hofner 505 bass there, 2-400. Burns New Sonic bass, Epiphone bass, Boulder Creek fretless bass, Stag, Fame Baphomet 5-string, Merlin Slammer. That's quite nice. Shergold Marathon bass, 3-400 on that. So it looked like we had, yeah, Modulus Quantum 5-string. Interesting. Basses. I think we're on to some amplifiers now. Fender Vibrolux there. And these interesting 1950s Elpico amp, Shaftesbury. Some Sound City stuff now, and I've said before in some of the other auction videos, these Sound City amps are really bombed on value. I swear that at some point these were getting really high. Kind of a slave unit there, which is pretty cool. Selma reverberation amp. Wem stuff is pretty cool. Selma, some really nice old Selma things here. Selma seems to be keeping their value. Fender Showman there. Roland Jazz Chorus. A few interesting bits and bobs popping up here. Seaman Duncan convertible 100-watt guitar amp, 60 to 100. That seems pretty cheap there. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's interesting. Some more keyboards and things. Ashdown, Roland synth there. Gen synth tone SX1000. Technics PCM Sound 6 C600 electric organ. That's a interesting looking one. That Liberty custom drum kit with cymbals and stands. Okay. And then we're on to kind of pro audio stuff, which is a bit out of our remit. And that is basically the end of the musical instruments part of this auction. Actually, pretty cool auction, to be honest. Some really interesting things across the board, kind of in terms of definitely bowed and plucked strings, and a few interesting wind instruments and other bits here and there. So actually not a bad auction at all. So check out the link in the video description and let me know what you think. So thanks a lot for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.